Home prices are rising in places like Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Charlotte. Those cities saw the biggest gains in the closely watched Case-Shiller Home Price Index. Seattle was the only city to see a price decline. Nationally, home prices were unchanged from June to July, with cities like San Francisco, Los Angeles, and New York barely staying positive. Joining us now is Dottie Herman, the CEO of Douglas Elliman, one of the large brokers here in Manhattan. Let's first look nationally, and then let's dive into what's happening in New York, because a lot of people think of New York as kind of a canary in the coal mine. But we still saw price appreciation of about, on a national scale, of about 3.2%. That's not bad, is it?
No, it's not bad. It's not much, but we hadn't seen that for a while. And basically, I can tell you universally, no matter where you are in the States, the higher end is probably the slowest at this moment, whatever your top 10% of the market is. As far as first time or entry level, there's usually never enough inventory. And so there's a lot of buyers out there. The interest rates are like unheard of. I mean,
still incredibly low.
Yeah. Like crazy. But I always tell people, if the interest rates were higher, the prices would be lower. So it kind of, you know what I mean? It kind of
balances each other out.
Right.
There's an equation there.
So,
Exactly.
so what do you see? Let me ask you New York, and forgive me for being myopic to New York City, but there's a lot of empty real estate in New York, whether it's commercial or even, again, the higher end, the condo market.
Well, I think, first of all, you have a presidential election year. And when people are not certain of outcomes, they tend to do nothing. I think there's buyers. I always tell people, this is the time you should be buying. They will buy at the right price at the high end, but at the right price, okay? So there are deals out there. It's a good time if you're looking. But as far as it's booming, I call it very uneventful. As far as taxes, I tell New York, beware. People will pay a premium to be here, but then it gets to a point where there's just like that tipping point where it's enough. A lot of taxes. You have the baby boomers who were going to warmer climates all along.
No income tax in Florida.
And now, if they don't have to be here, I mean,
do you think? Oh, go ahead, Mel.
Well, to that point, some new data from the U.S. Census Bureau showing that no city like New York is seeing the mass exodus that it's seeing right now. I think New York City is number one, Los Angeles is number two. And to your point, is it just that the boomer generation is happening right now? You've been in this industry for several decades, so you've been able to see, I'm not trying, yeah.
No, it's okay.
But you have more of a historical context to see if this is actually a blip or if this is something that you're concerned about being in the New York real estate market.
Let me say this. Number one, New York City is still the number one place for foreigners or anyone to come to. So we're still there, but we have to stay there. I think it's a combination. I think it's a combination of aging population who likes warmer weather, and as far as tax-wise, if they don't have to be here, then that's it, okay?
Yeah.
I think that you also have taxes that have gotten to a point that people, again, you know, you have the millionaire's tax, the mansion tax, you have
the flip tax, the
tax.
co-op fee to pay for selling tax.
It gets to be a point where it's just not, doesn't make sense. Yeah. Do young people still want to be here? Yes. And why are some of the big tech companies coming here? Because we have talent and we want to keep it. And I have to say this, I never get political, but I have to say this, I think the city's got to make sure we clean up a little bit.
Well, let me ask you.
Okay? I mean, fix the roads.
There are two issues that you're bringing up here and regarding taxes. First, you got Bernie Sanders, presidential candidate, saying that if he becomes president, he wants a 3% cap on all rent increases nationwide. What would that do to the housing market, not only in New York, do you think, but also across the country?
I think it's going to hurt it a lot. I think that people don't realize when they keep on wanting to raise taxes, and of course, wealthy people should pay their share, but if you look at the percentage of taxes, probably 80-something% of the city taxes are paid by this small amount of people. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to drive that percent out. I mean, I I think even with the new rent control, I think it's gone, the pendulum goes to the right, then it goes to the left, and I think it's got to be somewhere in the middle.
Is anybody in New York at the state level or at the city level, because we do have incredibly high taxes in New York State, talking about some kind of tax code convention to rework this tax code for the very issues you're talking about? And that Melody just pointed out, there are people leaving the state because what was the famous? The rent's too damn high. Well, the taxes are too damn high.
Yeah, and you mentioned also the California too, and that $10,000 tax exemption in states that have high property taxes, which is generally the Northeast and California. You see people moving to lower tax states. There's talk about it, but I really think, to be in my own wisdom, because there's an election year, it's kind of just going to sit there. I think people are talking about it, but I haven't really seen. I don't think anything will get done until after this election.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's been a little bit of a headache. I think on the rent control angle, they've already, earlier this year, rent control was brought in. They reworked the system. You saw what had happened to New York State regional banks, right? The same thing would happen. If Bernie came in and was basically saying, we're going to limit your cash flow potential on this investment, then it's going to hurt a lot of investors, and it's going to hurt some of the banks, and it's going to be a bitter pill to swallow.
And they capped, you can only put a tax deductible upgrade, like for the bathroom, if you're a landlord, up to $15,000. So good luck in New York City trying to rehab a bathroom for less than 15. Who's going to?
And like that, what'll happen is you'll eventually have two classes of rents, because if you own apartments and you can't make any money, you're not going to fix them.
Right.
You're not going to upgrade them.
Exactly.
It's the 1970s all over again. All right. We have to say thank you, Dottie Herman from Douglas Elliman.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.